because everybody in the world know you was going for Canelo. You was mad that I beat Canelo. It's okay. It happens, you know? But if you a real fan of the sport, you would have, you know, said congratulations instead of having that little smirk on your face, all mad and pout.
And he signed a contract. He fought to fight for the WBC title. He fought to fight for the undisputed title. He knows the rules. He does not want to abide by the rules. It's okay. He can go other ways.
What's great for fighters is that they have options, you know? All these promoters are saying the Ali Act is perfect and this is the way it should be. I want to see them all stay in it. I want every one of them to stay in the Ali Act as it is now for the next however many years.
Right.
I guarantee you they won't.
Dana White has finally reacted to Crawford, and his fiery response to Crawford exposing the WBC's favoritism toward Canelo has left everyone in shock. Just a few days ago, Terence Crawford was stripped of his WBC belt over claims by President Mauricio Sulaiman that he hadn't paid sanctioning fees. In response, Crawford went on a heated rant live, directly targeting the WBC and their sanctioning bodies. He exposed what he sees as clear favoritism toward Canelo, criticizing the hypocrisy of the organization for not stripping Canelo despite years of controversies. Crawford called out the sanctioning bodies for being ineffective, claiming they don't care about the fighters or the structure of the sport, and labeling their system as useless.
Like Benavidez, you know, they don't strip these fighters, but I give credit to the IBF. They stripped me. They ain't even give me time. They stripped me, popped me, even though I wasn't, you know, coming back down the weight. But, you know, they handled their business. They did what they were supposed to do. The WBC, you ain't never see them strip no Canelo for the Benavidez. He was what, mandatory for like 2 years? It's crazy. But, you know, that's that favoritism shit. But I'm good though, baby. I'm good, I'm living life, I'm happy.
Crawford didn't hold back. He directly called out Mauricio Sulaiman, saying he should have stripped him directly instead of making the situation chaotic, which only highlighted the WBC's favoritism. He also mentioned that he had been stripped previously by the IBF and respected their approach, but he strongly criticized Sulaiman, claiming the WBC president was jealous of his success and victories over Canelo, Mauricio's favored fighter, who, in Crawford's view, was never stripped despite ignoring mandatory defenses for 2 years.
Like, I've been stripped before. The IBF just stripped me when I was at 147. Doesn't matter. I'm still considered the undisputed champion. I'm still the champion in the division. Because you know why? The only belt that's recognizable as the champion is the ring belt, baby. That's the #1 belt in the division. That trumps all belts. And guess what? It's free. It's free. How you love that? $180,000 free. How much your belt cost? I wonder, how much your belt cost?
In response, Mauricio Sulaiman fired back in his latest interview. He called Crawford's claims of favoritism completely ridiculous and, rather than directly addressing them, chose to focus on the current situation with Crawford. He emphasized that it was important to make this decision to ensure Crawford would no longer be part of the WBC in the future. And now, this ban has shocked many of Crawford's fans, as their champion will no longer be fighting under the WBC banner.
And he had a few reasons why he felt that it was wrong for him to be stripped when Canelo Alvarez was able to hold the title for 2 years and he didn't face Benavidez. He thinks that there was a favoritism and that you were upset about him winning the matchup and beating Canelo Alvarez. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm not gonna get into ridiculous arguments. There is rule and order, and he made a decision. He took a decision, and he acted upon his decision, and the WBC had to take a decision. So I wish Terence Crawford great success in his life in boxing and outside of boxing. He's a family man.
Meanwhile, Dana White recently responded to the situation, asserting that all these fighters are crying like kids over their rights being monopolized. He believes Crawford's outburst stems from the problems he sees in the current structure of boxing. Dana described Crawford's comments as a form of renewal, but took jabs at those acting like they're protecting Muhammad Ali Act, suggesting that nothing will change unless Crawford brings his own amendments and solutions to the table.
Listen, if you look at how this thing's playing out, first of all, let me say this. I love that all these guys, all these boxing guys, love the Ali Act the way it is now. I want to see how many of them actually stay there and do that version of the Ali Act instead of the add-on that we're going to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what's going on with all these guys. They're all these guys that are crying the loudest are the fucking problems. They're the problem, every one of these guys.
According to Dana White, many of boxing's problems lie with the fighters themselves, as they don't stand up for their own interests. In Crawford, however, he sees someone taking action on his own, which he appreciates. Dana further explained his plans, pointing out that he's challenging promoters who refuse to support fighters under acts like the Muhammad Ali Act. While the WBC has banned Crawford, Dana says he has several options to restructure boxing in a way that helps fighters like Crawford, who are tied down and struggling to fight for their own rights.
Crawford, nobody told Crawford to say anything. Crawford's his own man doing his own thing, and that's how he feels. And we'll see how this thing plays out in the next couple of years.
Are you surprised by this frosty reception from the other boxing promoters?
No, not at all. Not at all. But here's the thing that's great for fighters is that they have options. You know, all these promoters are saying the Ali Act is perfect and this is the way it should be. I want to see them all stay in it. I want every one of them to stay in the Ali Act as it is now for the next however many years. Right. I can guarantee you they won't.
And here comes the interesting part. Longtime rival of Dana White, Oscar De La Hoya, slammed Crawford for not paying the sanctioning fees, calling it completely unjustified. He went on to highlight that the current ranking system in boxing provides fighters not only bigger opportunities, but also a path to becoming stars. In his view, he's frustrated knowing that Crawford is completely disregarding the system and organization that, in De La Hoya's opinion, helped shape his career, and he expressed his anger in a very pointed and savage way.
Today, I'm pretty pissed off. Terence Crawford, he told the WBC to basically go themselves yesterday and is refusing to pay sanctioning fees to them for his $50 million fight against Canelo. $50 million! Did he forget where he came from? Or how he got there? How do you think you rose to that level? Through the ranking system. You get positioned to make that kind of money. I mean, come on, you're 38 years old. You've been paying sanctioning fees for a long time in the past. There's nothing new here. It's nothing groundbreaking. You had no problem when they were ranking you to fight Canelo.
De La Hoya didn't hold back against Dana White and his new boxing plans. He first reminded Crawford that the WBC and its president, Mauricio Sulaiman, he called the idea of refusing to pay sanctioning fees and dismissing the entire organization nonsense. He also labeled TKO as part of an agenda launched by Dana White and his team, an agenda that, according to De La Hoya, he will continue to fight against and do everything possible to prevent from succeeding.
He helps these kids get off the streets. He houses ex-fighters. That money goes into retirement funds. That money goes into paying hospital bills for fighters who can't make it. So just because you made it, Crawford, and you made $50 million, you don't want to pay that fee ever again? That is wrong. I'm very disappointed. Yeah, there's an agenda here by that TKO group. And I'm going to do everything in my power to do whatever I can to protect boxing. Because this is a sport that gave me everything.
At the same time, Terence Crawford is facing heavy criticism from promoters, including Eddie Hearn. Hearn recently called Crawford's behavior illogical and even suggested he may have connections with TKO. He highlighted that the public dispute between a boxing legend and one of the sport's most influential figures, Mauricio Sulaiman, raises doubts about Crawford's ties to TKO. Hearn even joked that Crawford's situation is like someone going to a restaurant and refusing to pay the bill.
When you get two big names like that beefing, this is a kind of sign of the times with TKO. You know, Terence is part of that kind of crew. And it's like, what he did is a little bit like going out to a restaurant, having all the best caviar and lobsters, and the bill comes and you go, I ain't paying that, and you just walk out. Now, you sat down at the table, you wanted to eat all the good stuff, you got to pay your dues and you got to pay your bill. Now, what he will say in answer to that is, yeah, but the bill's too much. It's like, no, the rules are their rules. They can actually inflict a 3% sanction fee across your whole purse.
To Eddie Hearn, all this drama points to one thing. The new wave of TKO is quietly being built behind the scenes. And with the recent discussions about the Muhammad Ali Act potentially going against him, he suggested that Crawford wants the undisputed title but isn't following the rules for a belt that both TKO and Crawford consider almost meaningless. Hearn pointed out that TKO is planning to consolidate all the belts, which could undermine the legacy of those championships. In his view, Crawford's disputes with Mauricio Sulaiman and Dana White's comments all point to one place: TKO is gearing up for a major takeover of boxing.
For me, if you want to fight for the undisputed championship, you have to abide by the rules of that belt. Now, there's always negotiation, you should let your point blow, but you can't leave without paying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's just not right. You've paraded round the ring with that belt. If you look at his cabinet, it's all the WBC belts there. That belts matter. But this is the era of the new wave of boxing coming in is going to try and fuck all the belts. And they are going to try and kill the WBC, the WBO, the IBF and the WBA and say they're worthless. And as I've said before, I'm doubling down. They are absolutely not worthless. They are the absolute essence of legacy and achievement within the sport.
Gareth A. Davies, in his recent interview, pointed out that all of this clearly signals that something big is coming. He reflected on the entire situation, noting that the original sanctioning fee of 3% has been reduced, and while many fighters, including Usyk, are in Bangkok for the convention, Eddie Hearn's claim that Terence Crawford received $50 million for Canelo Alvarez isn't verified by any athletic commission. This suggests that the real story behind all the chaos is brewing deeper.
A critical point in this where something big is going to come out of it. I mean, just to go into the background, there's no absolute facts with the Nevada State Athletic Commission that Terence Crawford was paid $50 million to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. We were obviously out there covering that fight for TalkSport and some others. But on the $50 million fee, the background to this is normally there's a sanctioning fee of 3%. They reduced it to 0.6%. It came out as £300,000. They requested from their convention in Bangkok, where they've been for a week and a half, where Usyk is at the moment, and we'll talk about that as well, Alexander Usyk.
Gareth Davies further pointed out that in today's political landscape of boxing, with figures like TKO, Dana White, and Turki Al-Sheikh all pushing new plans, everyone is positioning themselves for the sport's next moves. Amid this, Crawford's rant against the WBC has only added anticipation for what's happening behind closed doors. He emphasized that Crawford, through his actions, is highlighting the real problems currently facing boxing, and that any new development could significantly shift the ongoing dynamics within the sport.
Season in boxing at the moment, because everybody's being political about things. We know that Turki Al-Sheikh, Dana White, TKO are one side of this as well, and he's saying that Ring Magazine belt for a reason. He's almost Turki Al-Sheikh's #1 guy at the moment, isn't he? Certainly his tentpole fighter. But I think where I do agree with him, I think he should pay a sanctioning fee, because I don't know if we've got that picture of him flouting the WBC ring. I don't know if Haj, our producer's got it. There was a picture of Terence on the press release anyway, flouting the ring. He's always courted the WBC title. He wanted to be champion of all the belts.
Meanwhile, the criticism over WBC policies, Adam Smith openly shared his thoughts, expressing that he has no sympathy for Mauricio Sulaiman and fully agrees with Terence Crawford's stance on the situation. He also voiced support for Dana White's plan to restructure boxing, believing the sport is in need of renewal. In his view, the principle of one champion, one division, one belt should be respected, but sanctioning bodies complicate things unnecessarily. He criticized these organizations as little more than money-making schemes that benefit promoters, while doing little for the fighters themselves.
I've zero sympathy for Mauricio Sulaiman and the WBC. I'm in full support of what Terence Crawford is doing. I think sanctioning bodies, for me, they're money-making schemes at the end of the day. I personally, listen, anybody that's listening to any of my stuff going forward, I think we could do without sanctioning bodies. I think we could all move forward with just having one champion, one per division. I know that people will come up to me and say, well, more opportunities when there's more belts and all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if we get boxing right, opportunities will fall for people. If the WBC played along with their own rules all the time, to the letter, I would probably sit here and have a different opinion, but they don't. They make things up as they go along. For example,
Mauricio Sulaiman's decision to strip Crawford and then ban him from fighting under the WBC speaks volumes about how personal the situation has become. Speaking on it, Ade Oladipo highlighted that Sulaiman's role needs clarification. In his view, whatever the WBC is demanding is pointless, and even if the process was proper, why did they refuse the money Crawford offered? He also raised critical questions about the legitimacy of the whole drama, noting that Sulaiman is neither Turkey, who is funding the fighters, nor Netflix, which broadcasts the events, nor is the Athletic Commission protecting the fighters' health and safety. So what exactly is he doing, and what is the Commission's role in all of this?
But 3% of 50 million would have been too much. So you know what? We'll allow you to pay us 0.6%. No. You will get what Crawford wants to give to you. Because what do you do? I need to understand. You're not a commission, right? I mean, the fight was in Vegas. You're not Nevada State Athletic Commission, who look after the fighters' health and safety, who ultimately put the fight on, right? They're the ones that appoint the judges, right? You're not the broadcaster, which was Netflix. You're not the person paying for the fight, which was Turkey, right? So what exactly are you doing?
And there you have it. The Crawford and WBC feud has shaken the foundations of boxing, exposing favoritism, flawed systems, and a growing clash between fighters, promoters, and sanctioning bodies. From Crawford calling out the hypocrisy of the WBC to Dana White and De La Hoya weighing in on the sport's broken structures, fans, fighters, and insiders alike are watching closely as power, politics, and money collide behind the scenes. If you want the real story behind every fight, every controversy, and every move shaping the sport, subscribe to Ring Rivalry, turn on notifications, and join the debate. Drop your thoughts below. Who's really in the right, Crawford, the WBC, or the promoters? We're breaking it all down, keeping you in the story from every angle.